which means it's time for the FIU Music Hour on WDNA 88.9 FM, where we present live weekly performances in the WDNA Jazz Gallery and feature students and faculty and alumni from Florida International University's Wertheim School of Music. I'm your host today, an FIU professor, Dr. Russ Spiegel, and along with our producer, Dr. Karen Velaz, we'd like to welcome you to our show. Whether you're listening to us at home, in your car, or live on wdna.org/FIU, we are delighted to have you with us. And today, we are pleased to feature the FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble, led by Professor Dr. Mike Eckroth, with Ian Burgos on violin, Alan Gomez, alto saxophone and flute. We have Samuel Schumann Perez on tenor saxophone and bass clarinet, Felipe Castillo and David Gafwa Oliva on piano and some assorted other keyboard sounds, Adrian Perez on the bass, Philip Pilla and Santiago Rios on drums and percussion. The FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble plays a range of styles of jazz music influenced by Afro-Caribbean rhythmic styles and Cuban folklore. The group features Latin percussion, a violin and horn section, and plays mostly instrumental music. The FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble. Fantastic. I am sitting here, hopefully in the moment, with Professor and Dr. Mike Eckroth.
Gotta get my guido ready.
Yes, it might be time for a solo. Good
Always
morning.
time. Good morning.
Always
How
time
you doing,
for a
Russ?
solo. Doing very good. Well, band sounds amazing. Congratulations.
I think they're doing very well.
I would say so.
Young upstarts of Latin music.
Absolutely. Why don't you tell us first of all about the tunes we heard?
Sure. Well, that last one was, I don't know if it's a Cachao arrangement, but it's from a Cachao record. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say that's probably his tune. It's really in his genre. That's Centro San Agustin. I think that's from actually maybe an album. Maybe two of these arrangements that we have in the book today are from a 70s album called Dos, which was kind of a mixture of the old guard of Cubans and New York musicians from the 70s. So I like to bring charts like that in because it really it holds true to the kind of the Cuban roots of Latin jazz, but it's maybe the next generation after some of the stuff we did. The other tune is actually also from the 70s, Guachihuara, which is actually associated with Dizzy Gillespie. Mm-hmm. Also known as Soul Sauce, associated with Dizzy Gillespie, possibly group composed with Chano Pozo. I need to research that to tell you the exact thing, but it's associated with Dizzy Gillespie. He recorded it. It's on his records, and that's from I don't know whose arrangement. Oh, Cal Chater's arrangement.
Yeah,
so, if you'll notice, we have extra keyboard player in the band this semester, so we're having him play vibraphone parts, which I think really fits.
Well, especially
music.
for the Cal Chater stuff.
Absolutely.
Straight up Cal Chater.
Yeah.
Yeah, and about the band, why don't you tell us about the band in general?
Well, these guys are all undergraduates. They're all performance majors. And we have one graduate student, our violinist, Ian Burgos, who's a master's student. Mm-hmm. Kind of showing everybody, the ropes, how to play and stuff. But anyways, yeah, so these guys are all in our, I think everybody's in a jazz performance program as an undergraduate. So this is one of the larger ensembles we have at FIU. Besides the big jazz band, this is like our second biggest ensemble we have. Mm-hmm. So we have, they're all, studying with our different professors in the jazz area, jazz performance.
Right. And about stylistically, like you said, you're covering sort of the whole gamut of Latin American music. Is it mostly, is it based on Afro-Cuban, or is it going further afield?
I mean, in a year's time, we might get further than that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if you read, or if you just watch what's been happening for the past 100 years, Afro-Cuban rhythms are kind of the main controlling element of Latin jazz. So, I mean, this is a Latin jazz ensemble, but I always put some straight Cuban music in a year's time because I think understanding the rhythm, the rhythmic content of that music, how to play over it, how to improvise. The last tunes we just played were like a 5/7 chord and then a 5/1 kind of jam, and those pop up a lot. I mean, that's some of the roots of just Cuban improvisation. You're gonna see those chord progressions and this kind of rhythm, which is kind of like the zone between cha-cha-cha and mambo and son. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is an opportunity for us to study the roots. Mm-hmm. We listen closely to the recordings. We try to emulate how people have done improvisation in this style. But we're in 2024. We're not 100 years ago, so there's always an element of other influences in there, which makes it original. But yeah, we kind of stay in the zone of Afro-Cuban rhythms, but within a year's time in this ensemble, we would definitely do some other things, other influences kind of within the Cuban rhythmic, or let's say Afro Caribbean umbrella, and then maybe some Brazilian things and other things from South America. So I love all that stuff, but I think this is kind of the core. Things we're doing here are kind of the core rhythmically of what we would do in a year. Yeah,
we might talk about that later in the show, about like your travels to Brazil,
absolutely,
as well as to Cuba. And one of the nice things about the band, I mean, doing this kind of music, the African element of everybody really finding their own rhythmic element in the music is really great, and also the everybody being able to sing as well as perform
Yeah.
on their instruments is great.
Yeah, I think this is a as long as you get everybody used to doing this when you're like 18 or 19 years old, you're not going to think it's such a big deal later on, you know. But yeah, it's really common to sing and play and dance and do all the elements. You know, when we're talking about like Afro-Caribbean culture in general, there's not like a line like I only dance, I only sing,
Right.
I only play the piano, I don't play other instruments. Like I think when you want to learn folkloric music, you need to at least know what the other parts are.
Right.
Like what does the drums do here? What's the conga part sound like? What is the bass? What kind of bass line? Oh, that's not the right bass line. Like if you know and you're playing another instrument, then you can be more useful in this music, other than just be like, I don't know why this doesn't sound right, you know, or I don't know why this isn't the right, you know, why is what we're doing not working? And there's some not strict, but there's some, codified rules about what makes different genres, different rhythmic genres of Cuban music and other Afro-Caribbean rhythms, like what makes them different? What's the bass do? What does the piano do? What does the percussion do? You know, those rules are really good for everyone to be learning at a base level and to sing, so you don't, you start to understand that part of it and how it works, in the music.
And that actually answers my next question was how do you get deeper into the music? You've just answered that.
I would say yeah, and the other thing that we're doing every week, which is every new unit of stuff we do, we're digging deeper into other genres that people aren't familiar with. Maybe they know salsa, or people might know like one artist, but then there's always another artist to check out.
Right.
There's so many improvisers in the music, and we're talking about 80 years of Latin jazz or more that you could delve into and learn how people improvise and find things to emulate, things that you like, things that you enjoy, that you wanna put in your own music. There's just too much stuff for us to get to, so we're right on the edge of like we had to get this repertoire together basically in one rehearsrsal. So the
Wow.
guys are doing. I mean, we've played through these songs earlier in the semester, but I'm always trying to push everybody to know, to up the level and know more than you would normally do in a band like this. So it's challenging, but then it helps everybody grow a lot.
Well, fantastic. Well, what are we going to hear next?
Yeah, we're actually staying in this traditional, typical Cuban music vein. We're going to do, and this is kind of a Cuban standard. The rhythm is danzón, which really dates back to the early 20th century. And this instrument that I'm about to play loudly is the güiro, which is kind of like one of the main percussion instruments of that genre of music. And the flute, you'll see the flute and violin featured a lot, and the piano. This arrangement is from actually Arcaño or Aragon, one of the big charanga bands that played this genre of music. So we're going to do Angoa.
All right. Dr. Mike Eckroth and the FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble. Right, you are listening to a live performance in the WDNA Jazz Gallery of the FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble on the FIU Music Hour, and we'll be right back after these messages. Wertheim School of Music presents on Wednesday, November 20th at 7:30 p.m. at the Wertheim Performing Arts Center. Get ready for the Fall FIU Miami Guitar Orchestra Showcase, led by FIU Professor Mesut Özgen. Experience a thrilling program that traverses centuries from the Renaissance to modern times while exploring the mesmerizing rhythms of jazz and traditional music from diverse cultures worldwide. Prepare to be enchanted by this unforgettable fusion of musical styles. On Thursday, November 21st at 7:30 p.m. at the Wertheim Performing Arts Center, join us for a captivating evening of chamber music featuring the talented string and piano students from the Wertheim School of Music. This free event showcases masterpieces from the chamber music repertoire, spanning from the refined elegance of the 18th century to the innovative brilliance of the 21st century. Thursday, November 21st at 7:30 p.m. at the Wertheim Performing Arts Center, experience the energy and talent of Fusion, a dynamic community band that brings together FIU students, alumni, high school musicians, and local talent. Under the direction of Emiliano Samuel and Alejandro Guardia Jr., this season's performance promises a captivating mix of traditional band repertoire alongside an exciting original composition by one of our very own conductors. Don't miss your chance to support local talent and enjoy an unforgettable evening of live music. On Saturday, November 23rd at 3 p.m. at the Wertheim Performing Arts Center. Join us for an extraordinary evening as our FIU Concert Choir and FIU University Singers come together for their second performance of the 2024-25 season, A Traveler's Journey, a Voyage of Global Soundscapes. Led by Director of Choral Activities, Dr. Erin Millard, the FIU Concert Choir will present an eclectic array of pieces from around the world. Also, under the direction of Dr. Alicia Romero Sardinas, the FIU University Singers will take to the stage with a diverse selection of global repertoire. The evening will culminate in a vibrant performance by the combined choirs of Daniel Jackson's energetic Holon Fasta, bringing together the powerful voices of both ensembles to celebrate unity and diversity through music. This concert promises to be a rich auditory journey filled with passion, cultural exploration, and global harmony. Don't miss this unique celebration of international choral masterpieces. Sunday, November 24th at 2 p.m. at the Wertheim Performing Arts Center. Join us for an engaging experience where students from Dr. Vindhya Kari's diction class will showcase their hard work and progress in the Wertheim Recital Hall. This special class performance is a unique opportunity to witness the development of vocal clarity, pronunciation, and expressive delivery as students present a variety of pieces emphasizing their diction skills. Led by Dr. Vindhya Kare, coordinator of vocal performance and assisting teaching professor, the recital promises to be an educational and entertaining experience highlighting the importance of diction in vocal performance. And finally, on Monday, November 25th at 7:30 p.m. in the Wertheim Performing Arts Center, get ready for an electrifying evening as the FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble, that's you guys, presents a vibrant retrospective of Latin jazz style spanning the past 50 years. Directed by Dr. Michael Eckroth, this talented group of graduate and undergraduate students will transport you through the rich and diverse world of Latin jazz. Experience the exhilarating fusion of Afro-Caribbean music, rhythms, Cuban folklore, and the innovative sounds of Latin music. From traditional tunes to contemporary masterpieces, the FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble's performance is a dynamic celebration of the genre's evolution. For these and many more exciting events, you can find information at music.fiu.edu. And now back to our show. Fantastic. All right. So we'll just talk for a little bit while you're getting set up here. So you were just recently in Brazil, were you not?
I was the recipient of the Fulbright grant award. So I was able to stay in Brazil for 4 months out of the past year and change.
That's amazing. And what were you studying?
Music, of course.
Of
I
course.
had a project involving music, the music of the city of Belo Horizonte in Minas Gerais, the state. For those who aren't super familiar with it, that's the city where Milton Nascimento hails from. Milton Nascimento, the great singer, songwriter of that region, and just having an album with Wayne Shorter and huge career going on, still going. Also the great guitarist Tonino Horta. So those kind of musicians are around there, that scene. And so I kind of centered my project there. And I was studying a little bit, delving a little bit deeper into the folkloric rhythms down in the hills outside the city. So I just went to a lot of folkloric demonstrations and parades and different stuff that's just, I learned some things that I'd never, I heard some music that I'd never heard before.
Wow.
And I was able to incorporate that kind of into my composition. So there's an album that's going to come out soon, as soon as I can finish mixing. The mixes are waiting for me to listen to that involve musicians from that area. So that was the gist of the project. I mean, or the final output of the project is the recording. But I was able to live there alongside those people in that city for several months, and I brought my family as part of the grant. So it was a nice, really nice experience.
Fantastic. And you spent time in Cuba.
I have.
And you
studied
also
a
are a
lot
member
everywhere.
of Orchestra Aragon.
Acocan. Aragon's a different band.
I know. Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, I would like that gig if anyone's needs a piano player.
Heads up there, right?
Yeah. So we have a group called Acocan, which is a kind of a mambo band, and we've been working. We've had a Grammy nomination, and we've been doing that kind of old style genre of Cuban music stuff from the '50s. Now it's going on right now 6 years, and we have 3 albums. And we're out there working. We'll be around the United States next year, some in Europe over the summer. That's a busy project as well.
And apart from all that, you're also playing straight ahead jazz.
Yeah, that's what I do mostly, most of the time. So Latin music is like a good almost half of what I do. But I love the traditional music, and that's kind of how I grew up, and that's the majority of what I've done playing wise too.
Yeah, I guess one last question: how did you end up falling into Latin music?
Gosh, I think I've told this story on the air before, but I'll do it again. When I was 18, like the age of some of these guys, somebody asked me to play on their recital. A percussion student needed a piano player to play a salsa tune on his recital. And he didn't have a chart, so I had to make my own chart and figure stuff out. And that kind of started an avalanche of the next few years, getting really deeply into the different styles of playing piano in Latin music and salsa, and that kind of led to Cuban music, and I ended up studying with a bunch of great musicians who were able to influence me and just listen to a ton of music. And then I started being a band leader right then too, so I started having my own groups just out of needing to play and wanting to explore this music. So
Great.
yeah, it's been going on like my whole life. So
That's
there
it.
you go.
You're just open for whatever comes at. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are we
definitely.
going to hear next?
Let's do another thing by Cachao. Or not by Cachao, sorry. This is Frank Emilio Flynn, right, the great Cuban pianist. This is done a lot as a jam, but we're actually copying his whole intro and everything, which is taken from Rimsky-Korsakov. And so we're doing the whole thing, intro, and we're going to feature some more of the musicians in the band. And yeah, so let's have a little fun with that.
Fantastic. All right. You've been listening to the FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble, led by Professor Dr. Mike Eckroth, with Ian Burgos on violin, Alan Gomez on alto saxophone and flute, Samuel Schumann Perez on tenor saxophone and bass clarinet, Felipe Castillo and Davy Gafwa Oliva on piano and other instruments, keyboard instruments, I'm going to call it like that. Adrian Perez on the bass, Philip Pilla and Santiago Rios, drums and percussion on the FIU Music Hour on WDNA 88.9 FM. Thanks for joining us today at WDNA, where we keep Miami's jazz heartbeat alive. I've been your faculty host, Dr. Russ Spiegel, and along with our producer, Dr. Karen Velas, we'd like to thank our production crew of FIU grad students, Jocelyn, Elisha, and Mawasi, WDNA's Sound and Tech Wizards, Brian Barrientos and Danny Collazo, and the staff of WDNA 88.9 FM for today's broadcast. If you'd like more information on all our programs, make sure to call 305-348-2896. You can also go to our webpage, music.fiu.edu, and also like our Facebook and Instagram pages to stay up to date with all our upcoming performances. Thanks so much for joining us, and make sure to join the FIU Music Hour for more great music every Tuesday, 11 a.m. to noon. And now, 1, 2, 3.